Hello, my family. Okay, so I thought I'd go ahead and make this pretty much coffee time outdoors section of it because there's something I woke up to since this morning. The saying, "To thine own self be true." So I kept pondering about that all day. Is what does that mean? To thine own self be true. But it's coming down to being truthful to you as well. And something I said I would be, but I wasn't due to being ashamed. Now, it's not something really, really bad, but it's something that I'd said, I would always be truthful on this channel. And for the most part, I have been. But in one particular area, I was not. And I had a long discussion with my brother yesterday, and he helped me to understand it's okay if something just doesn't work out right. It's okay if I don't comprehend things too well. But it's not okay to lie about it. So here's what it comes down to, y'all. I'm going to teach you something that I have been learning that is actually important. Not a lot of YouTubers will do this, and I've done the same thing. The power of a camera can really be deceptive on what the reality of a garden could actually look like. And I have used that camera. I had the most beautiful pictures of the garden you could ever dreamed of, even on Facebook. However, you see mostly foliage. You do not see produce. And when I did do produce, I would kind of bulk it up with other vegetables to make it look like this amazing crop. When truth be known, and to thine own self be true, I did not have the best crop. What I have learned is pH really matters. And I'm going to show you a few things, because if you don't think it matters, y'all, I'm going to show you the difference of what pH really can do for you, your garden, prosperity, and productivity. It really does matter. So I'm going to show you a little device that I have and what I've been doing to fix a problem that I have, number one, neglected. Number two, I overdid something which helped put me in the position that I'm in, and to sit with you to help maybe you, those who've been struggling, as to wondering what is going on with my garden. Maybe these will be some of the answers I have for you. So, y'all, I'm fixing to go get me something cold to drink. We'll sit down and talk. Okay, y'all. So, when it came to thine own self be true, there is something that I was doing, or not doing, actually, that I should have been doing. And one thing that I am learning, if there is anything else in gardening you ever want to know and make your best friend, it is knowing what your pH balance is in your beds. If you do nothing else, at least know that. Why is that so important? Number one, I never had a pH meter of any kind. I just took it for granted. Hey, I'm organic. I'm doing my own stuff. But to thine own self be true, I really wasn't getting any produce. I had the most amazing green foliage on camera, but produce was very, very minimal. Reason for it, y'all, my pH balance in my beds were way off. And frankly, my beds were not getting nutrients like they were supposed to because of this. I had a lockout going on, y'all. And it did not help that you can have a little bit too much of a good thing. Whether you have compost, whether you have wood ash, which is absolutely amazing in your beds, you can do too much. And I know that for a fact because I have readily available all the wood ash I want from the wood heaters all winter. However, that doesn't mean to go dumping them in my beds. I was sprinkling them, but I never checked it first before I added it, and I made my beds more alkaline than they were absolutely worth. Now I'm fixing the issue. Now I have to give them sulfur to drop the alkaline, or again, I will not have anything this year. I'm sick of it. So how do I know? My beds were talking to me the whole time, but I wasn't paying attention. I'm going to show you some examples between a high pH and a good pH bed. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to get foliage. You will, but you're not going to get a lot of it. My beds had arugula in it, and they had the kale in it. They were in there, but they were not to their optimal. They were stunted. They were set. Once they got stunted, they started to bolt. So foliage grew, but not what it needed to. And I'm going to show you the difference between, yes, having foliage in an alkaline bed versus a prime bed, which is your prime is anywhere from 6.0 to 7.0. That is your prime in any garden bed, in any soil. You can purchase these at Walmart, Amazon. They're readily available. You can take soil samples over at your extension office, but you're going to get more than just your pH. So if you're looking for pH, you can get a meter. Just, they're not that expensive, but it's good to have one. I'm making this one my best friend. So a matter of fact, I don't want to shake it around because this thing has been really good to me. Now I'm going to show you a plush, Lord have mercy, a plush, beautifully pH'd bed. And I almost hate to really do anything with it, but it does need to be topped with soil. So I'm going to have to watch that soil because I have the prime bed right now. And then I have one that's minimal with a very high alkaline. And I'm going to show you the difference. So let's go to it. All right, y'all. This is a 6.2 to 6.3 raised bed. Now, I want to show you, do you see this foliage coming around just that meter? Well, let me show you the entire bed. Hold on a second. If it were not for the fact that I have to top this bed, because once I pull all these weeds out of here, and look at this plush, y'all. I mean, this is like full plush greenery everywhere. This thing is growing amazing. And matter of fact, except for the fact that I'm not getting any flowers, which tells me that I need to add probably potassium in here. I'm going to do my research more about saffron flowers. But that's what that is right there, saffron. It flowered one time in one flower, but they're still alive in this bed. So I need to find out what amendment they love so I can get some flowers. But other than that, this bed is between a 6.1 to 6.3 bed. But over the years, it has sunk, so I do need to add more soil to it. And I almost kind of hate to. Do you see how beautiful this is? Now, let me show you a high alkaline bed and show you the difference between this plush that you're seeing here versus a high alkaline. Y'all ready for this one? Oh my God. There you go. That's a very high alkaline bed. One that I don't even know how this rosemary is growing in. And honestly, you could see green, but it is not as plush. This thing should be loaded, but it is not. This is not a very optimal bed, and I need to do something because you see that baby right there? It has not grown much of anything. And I'm afraid if I don't do something soon with a bed reading like that, I'm going to lose this one too, and I don't want to do that. So having a pH tester is absolutely beneficial. I got to fix this or I'm going to lose a really good rosemary plant right now. Now this right here is an acidic number for a bed. Now, do you see how minimal the greenage is on this one? This isn't one of my 20 footers at the very edge of it. And that's what it looks like, y'all. You see some green, but it ain't plush. and it ain't very hardy. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gonna be able to put any vegetables in this side of the bed until I raise the alkaline in it and lower the acid. I could put blueberries, however, in this right here, and it would thrive. So I'm thinking if I want to do that and make this end of our 20-foot raised bed into a plush place for our blueberries. But that's, y'all, I mean, it's close to being a good pH, but it's not perfect by far. This thing has more acid than it needs to be, especially if I'm growing vegetables. Now I'm going to show you these beautiful raised beds, how pretty these raised beds is, but what I was doing. This is what I'm having to bring down. For a lot of these beds, y'all, they're running anywhere from 7.8 to this right here. And I'm bringing them down slowly. I'm hoping by growing season and by the time my plants are ready to come in here, I can get a good pH on this. But I don't want to mess this up no more. And this can be extremely devastating. And it is to me because we invest a lot in our plants. Hang on. Alright, y'all, we invest a lot into growing our plants. We invest in the seeds, we invest in the starter, we invest in the lights, we invest in the atmosphere for them to grow into. If we're going to put that much effort in it, it would make sense that we want to put their permanent housing just as much effort. And part of that is honestly this right here. I wish I'd have done some more listening, or honestly, I wish I could have comprehended a little better. Sometimes I'm slow at things. I could be pretty smart, but sometimes I guess I could be so smart that I'm not smart enough. It's hard to describe that, but some things are hard to comprehend. And this was one of them. It took me a long time to understand because technically gardening is like science, and I never was a science kid. So I was having a hard time, but I am definitely understanding what pH does and what it does to my plants. Looking back in the years, looking back at my progress, I now know what I'm doing to know where I got to get my pH at, because I've got plants growing in the house. I want to see produce this year, not just foliage. Now, there's a lot of factors too, and I know that it's your amendments and all that, but one of the biggest things is if your pH is off, your whole garden is off. This soil is a year old, y'all, and honestly it shouldn't have been drawn out because there was nothing to draw out. The plants weren't getting anything. Putting amendments in is good, moderately. I would rather have too little than too much, and I'm learning that as well. So start out with a little bit. If you need more, you can always add more. But it's best to start out with small, because everything good can be too much if you're not careful. So, and I'm learning that as well. I'm also learning there is nothing wrong with amendments. Amendments can be very beneficial to your plants. I am learning that organics, what truly means to be organic and commercial. And I don't do commercial fertilizing like Miracle-Gro. But I will use organics like fishbone meal or azomite or what was the other one? Gypsum. These are harmless basically, but too much could be also devastating. So they are more harmless though than anything that is commercialized like Miracle-Gro. So it's okay to use an amendment. It doesn't mean that I'm not a good gardener, y'all. I was having this misconception. And look, you know, just like all the information out there, you can get just a little bit too much of a good thing. Well, that's where I was. Now I'm learning from a really good man who I'm now comprehending, who's my little brother. And then I'm also learning from a gentleman who is an old-time gardener. Honestly, I love my old-time gardeners. Now, this man is actually a world record grower. Now, some of the things he grows, holy smokes. I'm not looking to be a Guinness Book of World's Record gardener. I just want a good produce because I want to be able to put this food on my shelf for me and my family. So, y'all, I'm hoping this information helps you. because it is important. It's more important than I even gave it credit for. And I don't want to be like everybody else, putting on a show of, look at what this garden looks like, and honestly, it ain't nothing but a big fat lie. I understood what it meant this morning when I heard the words, to thine own self be true. It starts with being true with myself, and then being truth to you. Truth to you is, y'all, I have failed in the last 2 years at being a gardener because I was taking the most important thing and discarding it because I didn't understand it. And that was knowing what my pH is in my beds. That's a big start right there. The rest follows afterwards. I will let you know too, there is a difference between natural rainwater and your city water. My city water's pH balance is 8.6, y'all. When you add all of this alkaline into a bed that's already alkaline, you got trouble. So, and that's what I have right now. If I do not get this fixed, I'm going to have another bad gardening year, and I don't want that. So I'm sharing this with you as well, because I had vowed to be truthful to you. And in order to do that, I have to be to thine own self be true, then I can be true to you. So, I'm hoping this helps somebody. You trust me to be honest. You trust me to be different than the most. You trust me to be real. And I'm keeping that reality, y'all. So, I'm going to admit to you that I have not been doing great. And I'm showing you why. And then I started testing my beds and showing you straight up, you saw my beds, what I'm looking at. So this is what I have to deal with, y'all. If at all possible, the first thing you do, test your pH in your beds. Test your pH in your ground. Whatever you're using to grow, test your pH. Go from there. It makes a world of a difference of what your produce is going to be like that year. So, I love y'all dearly. I do. And I got a few things I got to get done this evening. So I wanted to make this video with you. This one-on-one coffee time Wednesday. Well, it's not coffee, y'all. It's something cold because, well, it's been kind of warm today. But as long as we're into gardening, I might as well start with the most important. I know, and I hope he is watching, to my little brother, thank you for all the years that you have been very patient with me. I'm finally catching on, and y'all, I'm blessed to have this guidance in my life, because without this, I would just keep failing. And as I learn, I pass it down to you, because there is so much misinformation out there. I mean, seriously, you got people that are teaching folks to throw banana peels in your bed. Please don't do that. You're going to create a nasty mess in your bed. You're going to have bugs you don't want, number one. Number two, you are not going to get the potassium you think you're going to. The stuff breaks down. Number three, you're just going to have a garbage pile in your raised beds or in your garden. So please don't do that. If you want to do that, put it in your compost. Let it, over the time, just deteriorate that way. But don't do that. And by the way, whole eggshells eggshells. Let me give you a true fact about eggshells. So there are crazy people who are throwing eggs in their raised beds. Don't do that. There are crumbled. Now, I have done this, not knowing, truthfully. In the beginning, I crumbled up all of my eggshells and I was burying them with my tomato plants in the holes. Yes, I was doing this. Don't. Because it's going to take several years for that to even break down. That plant is not getting anything from those shells. Even if you powder form it, it will get slightly more if it's been powdered. But it's still going to take years. The other part of putting amendments in your beds, and I've done this so many times for so many years, I was putting them in the holes with the plants, such as my tomatoes and my peppers. I would add my calcium into the hole. I would add the compost maybe or whatever. Honestly, you're not doing your plant any good. Number one, a lot of that does not break down. She's barking at the birds. A lot of that does not break down. Number two, your plant is going to get so far with those roots, and then it's going to stop right there where you put all that amending inside the soil. When really what you need is at the top of your soil, spread out in a different distance where it all goes down, because your roots are not going to stay in that one little hole, y'all. It's going to spread. By the time it spreads out, you're going to miss the nutrients, and it is not going to get it because everything was in that hole and not throughout your entire bed. So if you're going to amend your beds, or if you're going to amend your garden, amend the whole area, not just the hole that you're going to plant in, because you're not doing it any good. It's going to miss a lot of its nutrients, vitamins, and its minerals it's going to need, because you just did it in the hole. Trust me when I say, y'all, I have done this year after year. This year I'm doing everything on the top of the soil as I'm being taught. I'm no more making just hole, in the hole planting. So we need the whole thing, y'all, not just the centers. So that's another good point that I'm learning to do this year. So we're going to see how things are going to work out. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, I can't do any worse. I can only do better, right? But it starts with me being truthful to you. I vowed to stay true to you, and to thine own self be true. I am going to keep that promise. So y'all, as we go along, I'm going to show you the true, not just partly, as we go along in the journey of growing. Did any of this work for me? We'll find out this year, won't we? Let's do it together. Until next time, y'all, much love from Parton's Mediterranean Homestead.